Get that man ashore, then stow them rails properly. Look lively, I don't want this cargo shifted. There's another 100 tons to come aboard yet.
Bit low in the water, isn't she?
There's 400 tons of them rails in the hole already.
And another 50 on the quay.
In a ship this size? What does he mean to do? Sail her or sink her?
Where's the car?
Yep.
She's making water off. Get below and look to the caulking.
That's it.
You two up on deck and man the pumps.
Leaking before we've even left harbour, Captain.
It's only seepage. Shrunken timber's not used to being below the waterline. They'll see like clams soon enough. No cause for concern.
Not here, perhaps. Where we can swim for it.
They wait till you signed on before they tell you. Walk off now, they'd throw us in jail.
At least we'd get out of jail alive.
Make Lisbon in time. There'll be a cargo of oranges for us. But don't delay. Need you home in 3 weeks' time for a batch of rails.
450 tons in all, sir.
Aye, she'll take it. She's a good ship. 12 years A1 at Lloyd's. Huh?
She's overloaded, sir.
Fraser's not very much on his order books at the moment. And Captain Fogarty's looking for a command, so if you've no stomach for it, Captain Banks.
Well, if we should run into bad weather, sir.
Well, then I shall rely on your good seamanship. Well, every faith in that. And you.
Boy, get that counter tidied up. They're employed by a chandler, not a pawnbroker. That boy's half-witted. And James has lost his senses.
As usual.
Well, doesn't he know that Samuel Plimsoll's in Liverpool again?
Oh, what's he here for again?
To get more information about overloaded ships. His bill for a compulsory load line's likely to be adopted by the government, so they think on the council anyway. And there's James, right under his very nose. Have you seen the Onedin?
Have I seen the Onedin? With the shop accounts to look after and James's baby, I do not have the leisure to take walks along the quayside.
Well, she's being loaded right down to the gunnels. Iron rails for Portugal. If Sam Plimsoll sees it, you know what'll happen, don't you?
Oh, yes. He'll take some more photographs.
The name of Onedin will be dragged through Parliament. It'll reflect on us all.
But mostly on you, Robert.
Well, I mean, I am a councillor now.
Odd sort of work for a lady to be doing, isn't it?
It's a good cause, Elizabeth. It's an important cause.
I don't know how you can go in those fearful places.
But I think I can say I've been in greater danger than anything I'm likely to encounter in a seaman's lodging house.
It's not the danger I mean, it's the appalling conditions. I wonder who that can be.
Could you answer it?
The maid'll go.
No, I had to send the maid out with a letter to Mr. Plimsoll at his hotel.
Is he here already?
Yes, he arrived last night.
Perhaps he'll want to take you back to London with him. Become his secretary. That would be exciting, wouldn't it? There must be so many interesting people to meet in London.
Elizabeth, the door.
Oh, Daniel.
Is Mrs. Maudsley at home?
What do you want to see her for?
Business.
Caroline,
Yes?
a gentleman to see you.
Why, Captain Fogarty.
Could I speak with you, Mrs. Maudsley?
Yes, of course.
I understand you've been acting on Mr. Plimsoll's behalf, talking to seamen about conditions aboard.
Indeed, I have. And heard some stories I can tell you.
About overloaded ships?
And other evils. I've reached the conclusion that ship owners are entirely lacking in humanity. And the men are helpless. Quite helpless.
Yes. Are you aware, madam, there's a ship at the quayside taking on cargo now that will be so overloaded by the time she sails, the water will be lapping her decks?
What ship is this?
The Onedin.
That's one of James's fleet.
Aye, it is.
And I cannot afford to have the name of Onedin besmirched by anyone, James. That my own brother should be branded by Sam Plimsoll as a heartless, money-grabbing rogue with no thought for the lives of his men is...
Yes.
Oh, Mrs. Maudsley.
Good morning, Mrs. Maudsley.
Mr. Onedin, I've come about this ship. Captain Fogarty's just been to see me.
Ah.
Against my wishes, he has now gone off to fetch Mr. Plimsoll.
You see, that's just what I've told him, Mrs. Maudsley. That man will be here any minute, and with his camera too, I'll be bound.
Why against your wishes, Mrs. Maudsley? Don't you run errands for him? Frequenting the taverns with notebook in hand, tears in your eyes, ready to note every drunken seaman's grudge and tale of woe?
If you think they lie to me, talk to your own men. I noted their faces when I came on board. Like prisoners due to hang in the morning.
Well, the next world won't get them yet. Did Fogarty also tell you that a Fraser put up for this contract?
He did. To carry 1,600 tons of iron rails to Lisbon every month for the next half year.
Aye. A profitable contract, and I got it.
Aye, only because your freight rate was the lowest. Well, of course, Fraser was going to use 3 ships sailing at 10-day intervals.
And I propose to do it with 2.
Only at the risk of men's lives. I appeal to you in the name of common humanity.
Mrs. Maudsley, you're beginning to sound like Mr. Plimsoll.
Stop that loading. Take some of those rails off. I beseech you.
I wonder if Mr. Plimsoll's here yet.
Oh, he'll be here. You mark my words.
You see, Fogarty had not already told Mr. Plimsoll. I was hoping that you would.
Me? Why?
Well, to persuade him to come and pay us a visit.
What's her freeboard normally?
She's 12 inches too deep already. Why not come onto the quayside, Mr. Plimsoll?
No, I can photograph her well enough from here.
Well, if you do more than take photographs, you could stop her sailing.
I'm afraid there is no law of the land to enable me to do that. Legislation is being considered to permit anyone who alleges a ship to be unseaworthy to get a Board of Trade surveyor to inspect her. But that will only open the way to vindictiveness and draw attention from what is really needed, a compulsory load line. Oh, Mr. Fogarty, look at that cart there. It's obstructing my view. Do have it removed, I beg of you.
He addresses the Chamber of Commerce tomorrow night. Now, if I know him, he'll delight in telling his listeners
Of which I'll be one.
that only yesterday he photographed a dangerously overloaded ship as it sailed from Liverpool, about to take 20 good seamen to their watery grave.
And I'll be there on the platform with him. What do I say, James?
That he'll eat his words when the Onedin sails home with all hands.
Oh, I'll talk to you later.
Successful voyage of one overloaded ship.
Not just one. In a fortnight's time, I shall be sailing myself with the next batch of rails. In the next 6 months, an Onedin Line ship will be leaving Liverpool every 2 weeks, dangerously overloaded. And then Mr. Plimsoll's not here with his black-shrouded camera to record their departures to the next world. I'm hoping very much that you will be, Mrs. Maudsley. Because when every one of those ships returns, with all hands, I'm hoping very much that you can wave those photographs in his face. You know, if he has his way, we shall all be compelled to limit our loads just to safeguard a few ships that'd probably sink anyway through incompetent seamanship.
You're so sure of yourself, aren't you? So confoundedly sure.
Mrs. Maudsley, my confidence is based on experience. Mr. Plimsoll's on vanity.
Only one more room, Mr. Plimsoll.
I'm afraid it's too dark to take photographs down here.
Use your eyes. See for yourself what a rotten hulk she is.
I'm not qualified to judge. I'm but a humble representative of the people.
She's leaking already. There's 6 inches of water on the other side of those rails. They're pumping her out now.
Not even left the quayside yet.
And they go on pumping, day and night, all the way. Seamen breaking the banks, trying to fight back the rising water.
Till in the end it overwhelms them. No, not enough light.
Oh, forget your camera, Mr. Plimsoll. Save their lives, not record their deaths.
But I am powerless, Captain Fogarty. Court proceedings can only start if 5 of the ship's crew complain to the harbour master's office that their ship is unseaworthy. Then a court must sit. But the chances of it finding in their favour are so slight.
But if you told them, you speak for them in court.
No, that would do no good.
Well, it would give them the incentive they need to lodge the complaint. Well, that's all they lack, sir. A lead from you.
It was Sam Plimsoll, I swear. He's down in the hold. Yeah, here he is. Tell the lads, Sam Plimsoll's on board.
He must have slipped on board while I was checking the store, sir. Captain Fogarty's with him.
Where did you say they were?
In the forecastle, trying to get the men to leave ship.
Right then.
It is true that if 5 of you lodge a complaint, the ship becomes subject to court order. But I must warn you that if the case goes against you, the law requires those who complain to pay the costs. And of course, under your articles, you are then compelled to sail in her whether you like it or not. But on the other hand, from what Captain Fogarty here has been telling me, this ship is so blatantly overloaded.
Mr. Plimsoll! I take it you realize what you are doing.
Mr. Onedin?
Inciting a crew to mutiny.
I am merely pointing out their rights under the law.
Oh, rights under the law, eh? Well, no court, to my knowledge, has yet condemned a ship on the strength of complaints by seamen.
Only because they're not allowed to give evidence themselves.
Oh, has that law been changed, then?
It will be. It must be.
Well, until it is, you do my seamen no service by encouraging them to lodge complaints which can only heap troubles on themselves. Now, this ship sails with the tide. Captain Bain's in command, so get up on deck and you gentlemen kindly leave my ship.
A coffin ship. A ship worth more in the bottom in insurance than she is afloat.
What did you say?
A coffin ship. A ship leaking before she even sailed.
Are the lives of your men of no consequence to you, sir? At least if we lodge a complaint, there is a slender chance that they might win. But they have no chance even of surviving if they sail in this vessel.
This ship is sound.
With 450 tons in her hold.
We can't tell the court of the dangers.
Oh, but Mr. Plimsoll can. He'll stand by you.
Will you, sir?
You have my word.
Right. That's all we need. Come on, lads, the Marine Board office. Captain?
What's Fraser paying you for this?
Fraser, nothing.
You think you can prevent me sailing? That way Fraser gets the contract, eh?
Fraser would have got the contract if he'd been prepared to use 2 ships. Because he cares for safety, should he lose business to you? Oh, this time you will lose Onedin. Mr. Plimsoll will see to that. Get a surveyor to inspect her, sir. Call seamen who served on her before. Gain the services of a good lawyer, whatever the cost. And you'll have a great victory. A victory for which the seamen of Merseyside will carry you shoulder high through the streets of Liverpool.
Fogarty had the measure of Plimsoll well enough. First lies about the ship, and to play on his vanity as the seaman's friend. This delay could cost me the contract, you know. Court doesn't sit until Monday.
No, and if that court does condemn the Onedin, it'll disgrace us all, you know.
So I can call witnesses too, you know. David Griffiths for a start.
The ironmaster? The honourable member for St. Helens? But I know the man.
Look, then, go and have a word with him, eh? Tell him we need his assistance in court on Monday, eh?
How can he help?
Well, there is rails out carrying. You wouldn't trust him to the Onedin if he thought she was overloaded, would he? Then there's Baines. He'd swear she was seaworthy. Whatever his private anxieties.
Oh, I don't like it, James. I mean, no matter how I put your case to Griffiths, he'll want to put a surveyor in.
No, look, no honest surveyor can say that that ship is unseaworthy.
If you had as much sense as you have pride, you'd take off enough of those rails to satisfy Sam Plimsoll, and the whole thing would be quashed. Then you could still send Baines off tonight.
It's not just this one voyage.
I don't understand. If Mr. Fraser and the others intended using 3 vessels, why can't you?
Because he wouldn't pay me any more if I did. It's what they call a fixed price contract.
Well, let's just hope you've learnt your lesson not to be so greedy next time.
Look, will you stop moralising and go and see this David Griffiths?
May I see you home, Miss Biddulph?
Oh, no, thank you. My carriage is just outside.
Bad business. Bad business. What would Anne have said,
I only wish I knew.
So confoundedly competent. Anyone can see the Ondine's overloaded. Well, even Captain Baines. But James just stands there like the Rock of Gibraltar.
Some women would find that an attractive quality in a man.
Well, not I. What your brother needs is someone to take him down a peg or two.
Have you anyone in mind?
The world is going Mr. Plimsoll's way these days, not James Onedin's. Your brother will lose this case. He will be made to unload that ship.
And that will please you, of course.
As a supporter of Mr. Plimsoll's.
All because you think James will be easier to handle when he's down. It's you who'll break, you know, Caroline, not James. You know, he'll marry Leonora in the end. He had enough lectures from Anne.
Elizabeth, I have no wish to marry your brother. Mr. Plimsoll.
Mrs. Fraser, I do apologize for disturbing you ladies. I wonder if you could grant me a few moments of your time, Mrs. Maudsley.
Yes, of course.
It's about this matter of the Ondine.
Oh, don't look so downcast. I'm sure the Ondine can reach Lisbon in time, even if she doesn't sail till Monday.
She'd need a favourable wind all the way.
Yes, and she'll get it, you'll see. Well, I must be going. The presence of my carriage outside will be arousing gossip. Not that I mind, of course.
Mind?
What people say.
Of what?
Of my visiting an eligible widower unchaperoned.
Young lady, I have much on my mind, but it certainly doesn't include concern about gossip.
I'm sure your wife would have been a comfort to you at a time like this. I'm very sorry I can't be.
You know, if Anne were here, she'd have led those men out herself. Fogarty and Fraser can't possibly hope to win.
Yes, well, my father says that they'll do anything to make sure that they do win. And that you mustn't let them, whatever it costs you. He also said that surveyors don't make very much money in an honest way of business.
He expects me to bribe a surveyor to say the Ondine is sound when she is sound, eh?
He expects Fraser to bribe one to say that she is not.
Miss Biddulph, unless you are in a haste, perhaps we could just use your carriage to go down to the harbour. Arouse some gossip.
If a surveyor declares that ship safe in court, I shall be made to look a fool. And at this time, when my enemies in Parliament are looking for any excuse to dissuade the government from adopting my bill, I cannot afford to be proved wrong again.
You will not be proved wrong if that ship sinks.
That is so often the agonizing position I'm in. If I condemn a ship, I'm branded an enemy of free trade. Yet I know I can prove nothing to further my cause unless the ship sinks.
You displayed few doubts this morning when the men walked off the Ondine.
Captain Fogarty told me she was a coffin ship. And yet I have just been informed by the harbour master's office that although 3/4 of that ship's hull is now below the waterline, her holds have stopped leaking. So I ask myself if Mr. Onedin was right in this. Has Captain Fogarty got some interest of his own in this matter?
Well, there is little doubt that if Mr. Onedin fails to honour this contract, it will go to Fraser's.
I will not be used in a personal vendetta between two ship owners.
Our main concern is to prevent the Ondine from sailing. And you can rest assured my uncle would not have put Captain Fogarty up to this if they were unable to prove their case.
Well, they can hardly prove it if a surveyor declares her sound.
So they will have come to some arrangement with the surveyor.
I cannot be a party to bribery and corruption.
But you don't have to be a party to it, Mr. Plimsoll. You don't even need to know about it. And if the net result is that James Onedin is made to unload that ship, then it's good for your cause, and good for his men, and good for James Onedin.
How long will you be, Mr. Serval?
Any particular hurry?
I have to go ashore. I have some business to attend to.
Who'll be in charge of it then?
Well, the bosun. Mr. Onedin will know because I've left a note for him in the saloon.
Look around the ship, Leonora. He may not yet have gone. Sister ill. Can't even know where she lives.
Oh, there you are, Captain Baines. Mr. Onedin is just looking for you.
Now, Baines, when were you expecting to be back, eh? Need you to sail Monday night.
Well, I should be back by then, sir.
Well, once you're back before then, I need you in court Monday morning.
Well, I may not be able to be back by Monday morning, sir. You see, my sister's very ill. And anyway, I doubt I'll be much good to you in court, sir.
Look, you're the master of this ship. Now, I expect you to testify, to say that you have every faith in her, loaded as she is.
Yes, sir, but you know how these lawyers twist your words. I remember that inquiry after the sinking of the Pembroke, when they took away my masters to give us 6 months. I mean, they put you on oath, and before you know where you are, you'd do better without me, sir.
James, are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, Miss Biddle. Oh, your housekeeper said you'd be here.
Yeah.
Well, I've been to see Griffiths, like you asked.
Yeah?
Not bad news for you. The worst.
Well, get on with it.
Griffiths is on Plimsoll's side.
But they're his rails I'm carrying. Surely you must want them to get there.
Aye, in 3 ships instead of 2, like Fraser intended.
But he always knew that I was only going to use 2 ships. What does the man want?
He wants his rails delivered safely at 2/3 the price he'd rather pay Fraser. He's run rings round you, James.
There's still the surveyor. Where is he, Captain Baines?
He's in the hold, sir.
I didn't think you'd let him down, Captain Baines.
That's just what I don't want to do, Mum. I mean, I show so poorly in court.
And that's truly the reason.
Aye, it is. In court, they shove the good book in your hand, and it's tell the truth, so help me God.
And the truth is, she's dangerously overloaded. I'd sail on her as master, no qualms about that. But Mr. Onedin will do better without me in court, and that's all I have to say on the matter.
Nothing much wrong with the ship, is there?
A1 at Lloyd's.
It's a bit low in the water.
Yeah.
Too low?
Now, what do you mean?
It's too dark to make a proper examination now. I'll come down again tomorrow morning.
What did you say in courts Monday morning?
She's a sound enough ship.
But?
Well, they're bound to ask in the end if, in my opinion, she's dangerously overloaded. That could be awkward, you might say.
How so?
Captain Fogarty expects me to say yes to that.
Really? Why?
Well, can you give me any reason why I ought to say no, sir? Any, tangible reason? It could ruin you if you lose this case, Mr. Onedin. We all have a living to make, don't we, sir?
There's nothing else you can do.
I'm damned if I'll bribe the rogue.
Well, you'll have to do something.
This magistrate, now, you say you know him. Friend of yours.
Aye.
Well, have a word with him then, eh? If he's a friend of yours, he'll appreciate the position.
James, I did not get elected to the council simply to provide you with a friend at court, to get you out of scrapes for which
James,
no one...
dear, all you have to do is unload a few of your rails, do you not?
Look, if I give way to pressure from Plimsoll now, it'll be opening the door for politicians 300 miles away in London telling us how to run our business. Next thing, they'll be telling you how much to charge in your shop. When to open it, when to close it. You know, every Liverpool ship builder should be... Look, I cannot think with that noise, Sarah.
It's your child, James.
Now, look, you could at least go and see her while you're here.
She does lack a father.
It must be months since you've seen her.
Look, I just don't have the time at the moment.
Oh, he has got a heart of stone. I've always said so.
Caroline went out with Mr. Plimsoll.
What about you, Elizabeth? You now a supporter of this Mr. Plimsoll?
I am a supporter of Elizabeth Fraser.
Oh, I know that well enough. So, Plimsoll's apprehensive, eh? Did you know Daniel Fogarty bribed the surveyor?
I also know Robert's a friend of the magistrate.
Well, his sole concern's to see that the family name isn't discredited, eh?
Well, I'm sure you'll manage to persuade him. And with Captain Baines as master of the vessel to testify for you.
Ah, indeed.
So you want Caroline to tell Mr. Plimsoll what he's up against in the hope he'll get the court order lifted. Is that possible, by the way?
These things can be arranged.
But why, if you're so sure of winning?
Can't afford the delay. I need Baines to sail tomorrow. Look, ask Mrs. Maudsley to bring Plimsoll aboard tomorrow. Hey, we can talk about it. He can't afford to lose another case.
Can you, James?
Well, that's just a question of who has most at stake. Yesterday morning, 5 of my seamen walked off this ship in order to lodge a complaint that she was overloaded under your instigation, sir. Now, not only has this caused me a delay, which might lose me a contract, but it reflects on me as a ship owner. Come in, so if you lose this suit, I shall sue you. I imagine that you've been involved in enough slander cases not to afford to lose another.
I'm a wealthy man, Mr. Onedin.
Can your agitation for a compulsory load line stand yet another setback?
It will not receive a setback. This ship is patently overloaded. You will have to climb down for once, James Onedin, not us.
Would Captain Baines here sail in a ship if she were patently overloaded?
Commands aren't easy to get at the present, I believe.
Well, let us ask the master's opinion on this matter. Is the ship overloaded, Captain Baines?
In my opinion, she's not overloaded.
One of my witnesses on Monday.
The men are in the forecastle, sir. You said Mr. Plimsoll might wish to talk to them.
Aye, well, first, Mr. Plimsoll will talk to the surveyor. Would you kindly go and get him for me, Captain Baines? Now, this surveyor, he made a preliminary examination last night, a more thorough one this morning. He was allowed to go wherever he wished.
And how much did you pay the man?
Oh, Mrs. Maudsley, surely you don't think a Board of Trade official susceptible to bribery. How say you, Plimsoll?
Yes, I'm afraid they all are.
Well, I shall remember what you said. Now then, sir. Give us your verdict on the ship.
I'm not obliged to say anything except to the court.
Oh, come on, man. Mr. Plimsoll and myself are the only involved parties.
Oh, and what of your crew? The men who could be in danger of losing their lives.
You might be able to save us the necessity of even going to court, sir, if you speak your mind now, honestly, as you feel it.
May I have a word in private, Mr. Onedin?
No, you may not.
It would be as well.
Oh, come on. Is she overloaded or not?
I'd like a little more time to go over my calculations and even examine her again.
Come on, you've had enough time.
Just give us your honest opinion, sir. It will not be held against you or even recorded.
Very well. She is overloaded. Yes, Mr. Onedin, dangerously overloaded, and I shall say so in court if called upon to do so.
Thank you, sir.
Well, there seems nothing to detain us now, Mr. Plimsoll. We shall see you in court on Monday, Mr. Onedin.
Mr. Servo, you say you would like a little more time to check your calculations. Maybe go over the ship again.
I did, sir.
Yes, well, why not come back tomorrow, then, eh? I shall be on board.
Tomorrow morning?
Whatever suits you.
Right. Good day, sir.
I warn you, Onedin. If that man changes his testimony in court, I shall have my counsel cross-examine him until he confesses he was bribed by you.
And if he does not change his testimony, I shall have my counsel cross-examine him until he admits that he was bribed by Fogarty.
That has nothing to do with me, sir.
Mr. Plimsoll, the mud will clean. I doubt that there'll be much support for your Plimsoll load line in Parliament after that. In fact, I doubt if there'll be a Plimsoll in Parliament after that.
And you've so little to lose, of course. Only money. You will be safely ashore here in Liverpool while the ship is sinking and the men are drowning.
Captain Baines! Captain Baines' sister is very ill, and as she's his only living relative, I do think that she ought to be near him. And Captain Baines, you're relieved of command. You can go and see your sister.
Oh, sir, but my sister, she's much
Go and
better.
take Mr. Plimsoll to see the men. Tell them that they're paid off, as from today. We sign on again at 6 o'clock.
You mean the ship sails under a new master?
Aye. Any man that sails with me sails of his own free will.
Very well, I'll put it to the men.
Why he should be so impressed by the fact you're going to sail in her yourself, I can't think. You wouldn't mind going down with your ship. You'd willingly die rather than give in to anyone.
Why are you so bent on wanting me to give in?
A woman likes to see faults in a man.
So she can use them to her advantage, eh?
And I still think it's dangerous.
Why not sail with me yourself? Find out where the faults are.
If this surveyor supports us, sir, what's there to fear? The court will accept what he says. And we'll have struck the first blow against owners who send their men to sea in rotten ships, while staying at home themselves enjoying the leavings.
Mr. Onedin is now sailing on the ship himself.
He doesn't care what happens to him. I've seen that look in his eye ever since his wife died.
What do you want us to do, sir?
Want you to do? I have just come here to tell you what has happened, that is all. Captain Onedin suspects that this surveyor has been bribed by a certain party.
Captain Fogarty.
Well, certainly not by me. But if Mr. Onedin is right and this comes out in court, then I'm afraid we shall lose the case.
And pay the costs or go to the debtor's prison.
No, I will pay any costs incurred, so you have no need to worry on that score.
They can still make us go to sea in her. We've signed on.
No. Captain Onedin says he will pay you off, and the ship is free to sail, though you need not sail with her. So, unless you wish to withdraw your complaint...
Is that what you want us to do, sir?
You keep asking what I want.
Well, it's only because of you we walked off in the first place. Are you saying we should withdraw? Sailor's friend.
Every seaman in the land relying on you, sir.
You put a lot of responsibility on the seaman's friend.
Who else can we turn to, sir?
Yes, Mr. Plimsoll. You just tell us. What shall we do?
Withdraw the complaint, but don't sail on her. Then none of you has anything to lose.
Except work.
Better that than your lives.
Look, surveyors don't know everything. Look, a ship's not a machine that you can measure. You've got to go to sea to know the sea. Landlubbers. What do they know about ships anyway? If Mr. Onedin's sailing, I'll risk it.
Well, which of you wants to be paid off?
And every man jack of them signed on again. Well, of course. They need to work. Sail of their own free will, your brother said. What kind of freedom is it to have to choose between letting your family starve on the one hand and risking your life on the other? Do you know what your brother had the brass face to suggest to me? That I should sail with them too.
Why?
To see for myself that the ship was safe. Going down with all hands while shouting to your brother, you see, I was right.
Mr. Plimsoll called just now to thank you for all your good work and to say goodbye.
He's gone back to London.
No, he's sailing with James.
So, make a martyr of yourself for your cause, would you, Mr. Plimsoll?
Well, I have often been accused of knowing nothing of the sea, being just a coal merchant by trade, by owners like yourself. But this morning was the first time that my seamen accused me of it. So if this ship goes down and takes me with her, well, there'll be a Plimsoll line on every ship then, I'll be bound.
Well, you don't lack courage, I'll grant you that.
I'm told you're sailing, Mr. Plimsoll.
Indeed I am, Mrs. Maudsley.
If your invitation still stands, I should like to come too.
But, madam...
If you will risk your life to support your campaign, so will I. You did ask me.
We sail with the tide.
Let go forward! Let go aft! All clear fore and aft, sir.
You're at your sister's bedside.
She's well again now, sir. You sail as master and I as mate.
I shall sail as owner. You sail as master.
Let go main and mizzen topsails!
What really made you come, Mrs. Maudsley?
To have the satisfaction as we sink of seeing you admit you are wrong. And what made you ask me to come?
Well, it was likely to have been a rather tedious voyage.
Oh, so I'm here to amuse you, am I? You'd have done better to ask Miss Biddulph to accompany you.
Tell me, Mrs. Maudsley, why do you think those men signed on again?
Because they needed the work.
Because they love the sea.
Then why walk off in the first place?
All seamen love a grumble. What working man doesn't? But you know, they'd never have done it if Plimsoll and Fogarty hadn't egged them on. Oh, yes, they'll curse me roundly while they work, but they'll look forward to 3 weeks away from their wives, their troubles, and their debts. Ah, Mr. Plimsoll, I thought we'd lost you.
Men are still manning the pump, sir.
Mm-hmm. And will be until we reach Lisbon.
Captain Fogarty said they would be.
Did he also tell you that they'd be singing while they do it?
But if she's leaking...
Well, then they'll break their backs to keep pace with it.
Till in the end it overwhelms them all. Fogarty's very words.
Oh, well, maybe Fogarty is right, but you know, all your frightful tales just bring amusement in the forecastle. Go to jail if they walk off.
So they do.
2 months in jail so terrible that seamen would rather drown. No, Plimsoll. I think you'll find most seamen would rather have no other life. Yeah.
May I have a word with you, sir?
Yes, Captain Baines.
Oh, perhaps we'd
No,
better...
no, please stay. Yes, Captain Baines.
I've just taken the noonday sight, sir. And I'm afraid we're way off course.
Compass was out by 10 degrees. Affected by the load of rails, but I've adjusted it now.
Seas are washing over the deck.
Well, they'll wash off the other side.
What, with only 1 foot clearance? We shall go down, sir. Now, I understand someone neglected to make allowances for iron rails on the ship's compass.
Yes, well, ship's masters are like other men. They're not perfect.
It wouldn't have mattered so much if we hadn't been so blatantly overloaded.
Well, it looks as if you'll get your load line posthumously then, doesn't it?
Ship in this weather. That's just what the load line is to guard against.
Why don't you take command, Mr. Onedin?
To what purpose? As Mr. Plimsoll said, it was only through exceptional skill that we survived.
This is no time for proving your case.
This is just the time for proving it, that loaded as she is, the Onedin will survive. Where are you going, Mr. Plimsoll? Here. Try a biscuit. They do say it helps.
At least Mr. Plimsoll is seeing for himself.
And no man complains. Just works.
They're not singing now.
I'm too busy.
Mr. Onedin, your sister was right. I'm the one that's breaking. I must confess, I'm frightened.
So am I. Possibly just a bit more acquainted with the feeling.
You all right, Mr. Plimsoll? Oh, you gave me a fright, sir. I gave you a fright? Will she go down? Onedin? Oh, no, sir. She'll ride out worse than this. And there's better weather on the way.
You look as if you could do some grog, sir.
You were lucky.
Yes, I suppose we were.
It's a wonderful invention, the camera, isn't it?
Coffin ship.
Fraser needed the contract. It's not just the seamen who have it hard, sir.
You bribed a surveyor to say she was dangerously overloaded when she was demonstrably not so.
Bribe? I never bribed a man in my life.
The Fraser, then?
Neither did Fraser. That surveyor's opinion was his own.
So if that surveyor had given his opinion in courts...
James would have been made to unload.
On the strength of Mr. Serple's opinion, a man who knows nothing of the sea.
Still, we were lucky.
Yes, that's what it was, luck. But where men's lives are concerned, I'll not trust to luck. There must be a load line, and I will not cease to strive for it.
The Plimsoll mark, eh? Make sure she's never loaded above that line, Mr. Baines.
We loaded her higher than that on the Lisbon run, sir.
Did we?
A little.
Then Mr. Plimsoll's not the only one that's learned some sense this voyage.
I never thought to see you have a load line painted, sir.
Oh, I'm in favor of load line.
You, sir?
As long as the owner decides where to put it.